the virtual gear competition. And so I'll give you more detail of that. And seeing that Casper is not driving, Casper, do you want to give the house rules quickly?
Yes, Dr. Gous. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Yes.
Okay. Welcome everybody to today's session. We hope you enjoy it. We only have a few small house rules for today. We would like to ask everybody to please mute your cameras to save data and bandwidth. Also to mute your microphones to keep all the background noise to a minimum. If anybody has a question at any point in time, please feel free to raise your hand or you can put it into a chat area. And then that's my part. Over to you, Dr. Gous.
Awesome. There we go. So those who are driving, focus on the driving. Those who are relaxing, focus on the relaxing. And everybody else just, yeah, lend me your ears for 20 minutes. I've got a lot of information for you. I'm not sure how many of you have been journeying with us this week and that you've seen the other sessions, but let's kind of do a quick recap. So on Tuesday, we officially launched the 2022 virtual gear competition. And it's a competition that is openly and unashamedly committed to evolving to the changing needs of our community. And so this year, we're launching the competition firstly on the MOOC portal, the UNISA MOOC portal, and I'll show you now where it is. And then also we've got different age categories. We're inviting any robotics kit, any programming in any age group. So there's no age limit. This is the first time I think we have a age limitless competition. So I'm hoping to see some teams from some retirement centers maybe, but let's see how far we go. So I'm going to go through the presentation, but I just need to kind of give you some background information. First of all, and I'm going to share it on my screen. So I'm going to, there we go. So this is the, for those of you who are not familiar with, this is the UNISA MOOC portal. And so there is the iSet Robotics M3. So that's on the MOOC portal. If you do not have an account on the UNISA MOOC portal, it's mooc.unisa.ac.za. If you have any trouble locating it, please send iSet an email and Tomelo will very graciously guide you through the process. But basically what you would want to do if you go to home is there you would have to create an account. Well, I've obviously got an account. And then once you've created your account, you'll need to log on. And then you go to membership, and then under membership, under joinable sites, you will see all the MOOCs that are available on the UNISA MOOC portal. And it's zero rated. So once you're in, and the data expense is ours. So this is where you'll find the robotics competition. You can either just do the MOOC, or you can just enter a team, or you can do both. So we're hoping that everybody's going to do both. But what I want to show you here under syllabus, on the syllabus tab, so that's what the M3, the overview of it is. There's all the PDF documents. So here's where you want to be. So there are all the documents you'll need to download for the virtual gear competition called It's a Party. And so there's the details, the definitions, the team registration link, the score sheet, and then the materials. We're going to start making some sample videos, and we're looking to all our participants to help us. So if you have a really cool video and you'd like to send it to us, it'll be great. If you want some guidelines of what the sample videos need to look like, please go and look on last year's competition. There are some links to some sample videos. It must focus on the robot, and it must focus on the missions rather than on the people or the children. We've got we want to keep it as person free as possible. Noise is fine. I have no problem with noise. We just want to keep faces out. Okay, so that's the MOOC portal. Well, some of these documents, I'm just going to go through it here. So this is the document you're going to download, and there are all the missions explained in great detail, and I'll go through them with you just now. So really, it explains to you what you need to do. It explains where you need to go. I'm going to set it up for you here now, and we're going to go through the robot missions now. What you'll notice, though, is that for this particular robotics competition, the virtual gear competition, which is open until November, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is your base. This is where your robot has to start. You can order the mat if you so wish. I've got 2 very dedicated coaches who volunteer to print mats for you. But if otherwise, you can actually just lay this out with black insulation tape on a white board. Okay, so you can also do that, or you can get Cokie pen and color it in. But the measurements are kind of important. All right. So here at the first one, for this one, you need to have a box of jelly, and you've got to put it into a margarine container. I'll demonstrate this all now, but your robot must do that. And so I'm not going to tell you how to do it. That's the discussion we're going to have now. Okay, the second one is the time for a drink, where you have a juice box and it's on its side in the marked position, and you actually have to go there and turn it that it stands up straight. So that should be an interesting mission. The third mission is you have a cup. No, you have a 6 egg boxes, and you've got to put sweets in. You've got to toss sweets into the positions. Yeah, I said there's usually 12 individually wrapped sweets. You can eat the 6, and then the other 6 we'll use for the missions. Then the cup of sweetness. So I have a packet of sweets into a plastic cup, and you've got to then actually go and fetch the cup and bring it all the way back to base without obviously dropping the cup or the sweets. That's over there. And then last but not least, you've got the stacking, and you've got to stack 3 slabs of chocolate on top of each other, and they must obviously not slide off each other. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, obviously pick your favorite slabs of chocolate that you enjoy. Yeah, I think we're going to be doing more eating of these elements then, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then the last but not least, and this mission can get done outside of your 2-minute time limit, which is 120 seconds. And so the party hat robot is where you have to put a hat on top of your robot, and your robot must then follow the line. And maybe if you can just move this down a little, let me just hide this here. So the robot's got to start here and it's got to follow this line and follow this line, and then go back to base. Obviously with a hat on its head as well. So lots of fun there. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to pause. Please download all those documents if you need any documents, and then we'll take it from there. We'll just close this here. There we go. All right. So here is the presentation, and let's just go through the presentation. And but maybe I should just. Oh my word. Okay, so let me just quickly share. All right. Are there any questions? Is everybody on the same page as me? Everybody know where we're going to with this whole discussion? Everybody okay? Anybody? Okay, nobody's got any problems. All right. So I'm just going to go through the presentation for Unit 4, and just so you get an idea. Just 1 minute. There's somebody at the gate. Just hang on 1 minute. All right, I'm very sorry. I just need to go to the gate quickly. Is there somebody? Oh my word! Now nobody can take over. So you have a discussion and you decide which mission you want to do first, and I'll be back as soon as possible. 1 minute. Okay. Which missions you're going to do? Okay. All right. Okay, so it's all very quiet. Is nobody talking to anybody else? Okay. All right. So your mission was then to kind of think about how each of the missions are going to fit together, and then how to score a maximum number of points in the 2 minutes that you have, in the 120 seconds. All right. Anybody want to say which mission they are definitely not going to try? Anybody? So the juice is very simple. It stands like that. You've got to just lift it up like that. That's simple. How would the robot do that? Anybody got any ideas? Anybody? There's a cup of sweets or a packet of sweets in a cup. What you have to do is you've got to move this without dropping the sweets, without toppling over the sweets. All right. Okay, so I'm going to let you think about that. I'm going to do the presentation, and then hopefully we can have more interaction after the session. Okay. So let me just share my presentation, and oh my word. There you go. All right. Excellent. Oh, yes, KK, you wanted to say.
So I was strategizing just a bit on the cup of sweets.
Yes.
I was thinking a grip would be perfect to move it without actually having to drop the sweets. So it's just something I was just playing around in my head, and I was just thinking about, like, throwing out the idea there to people.
So you design a gripper?
Yeah, just
Okay.
design a gripper.
So
the gripper will hold the cup in a little.
And you will you'll squish the cup.
Yep.
Yeah, it can squish because it goes back. It also depends on the cup you're using, because the cup you're using is just the squishable one. If I'm using a cup that's more structured, that's more stronger and doesn't squish, then that gripper idea is perfect.
I think that'll work, but you also need to consider that the surface of the cup
itself.
You see, when you're using your connectors there for your gripper, you need to start using the friction one, not the frictionless. If I'm not
if you use the
gotta hold it very close.
Yeah,
the wrongest thing you can do is just have a bumper and just push it, because you know what happens if you just push it. Inevitably, you're going to let it topple over.
Yeah.
So a bumper is not going to work. You need a little bit more control over the cup.
Awesome.
Awesome. Cool. All right. My favorite is what do I do with leftover sweets? You know, after I put all the sweets into the egg cup, I need to eat the sweets. It's that simple. Hey? Yes. All right. So I'm just going to go through a very quick presentation, kind of, but keep thinking, keep these good ideas coming. All right. Okay. And obviously your reality is that you don't have to do all the missions. All right. You don't have to but you must have a strategy that you're going to do at least some of them. Okay. KK, see that you are I hear you're audible. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Okay. So really, and I come back to the thing, the whole point of the virtual gear competition is to equip you as the coaches to coach the learners in the competition. And so you can consider this part as your equipping to better equip or coach your learners in their teams. Okay. And it's about competence and confidence. If you as a coach are competent and confident, your learners then will learn much more from you. All right. So we're down to the bottom. The unit 4 is the technical presentation. And I think it's really sad that especially when teams have worked so hard to solve a problem and to present their solution, that they lack the skill to present technically, and then unfortunately most information is not shared, and then they are not evaluated on the full extent of the effort and the learning that has happened. So what I'm going to do now is I'm really going to, this is definitely a MOOC with a difference, because we've now gone through the steps of how do you do a game strategy? How do you take the problem and get to the solution? How do you, number 2 was identifying the challenges, the risks, the constraints. Those are all the things that you work around when you get your solution. And then obviously you need to always improve your solution. And now you need to be able to present your solution, but you have to present it in such a way that everything that you have actually comes to the table. All right. So when you are presenting your solution, there's the technical building. So it's actually the robot. And if a learner or a team gets up and says, ta-da, here's our robot. Well, yeah, I can see that. All right. You are not giving yourself enough credit for what you've achieved. Okay. So there must be some technical building discussion. There must be some programming discussion. There must be some form of strategy discussion. There must be testing and debugging. Tell us how you tested your robot. Don't tell me that the robot worked perfectly the full time and we scored full marks on our very first round, because I don't believe you. Okay. I've been in this too long. Robots don't work the first time. Robots never work the first time. Okay. So, and then show us your matches, show us your scores, show us, give us evidence to say you've been improving as you go along. All right. So this is all going to be in the context of a team that is developing 21st century skills. They all have different problem solving skills. You know, you've got the socially sensitive all the way to the very practical. You've got the critical thinkers that are asking the questions, who, why, what. It's good. Then you've got the creativity, those who have huge creativity skills, like could we do this differently? Then you've got those who can imagine and innovate. It's really important that collaboration and teamwork, it's not solo. 21st century is never solo. We always work in teams. We use the strengths of everybody else within the team to get further, okay? And then this computational thinking, where you need to actually divide up a problem into increments and iteratively solve it. So if you take the whole virtual gear 2022 competition, there's 6 missions, all right? You cannot just do them all. I can guarantee you're not going to be able to do them all in the 2 minutes. So you need to sit down and work out, okay, which ones are we going to do? And of the ones we're going to do, how are we going to do them? All right. So this is an ongoing process. So once you have the problem, you've got a list of missions, so you know what is given. Okay. And well, the problem is the robot must complete these missions to score points, logically. And there's only 2 minutes, and you always have to start in base. And there's my continuum. Okay, so you can choose. You can now choose either we do nothing or we do everything. The solution lies somewhere in between. All right. So when you have a game strategy, you kind of have the different parts, and then you have to start putting the parts together, and then those parts then are into your strategy. And nothing is cast in concrete. Remember, if it's not effective and efficient, then you change it. All right. I've spoken about the engineering design process, where you say, what is the problem? What are the solutions? And then draw your solutions, create a plan, test it, what works, what doesn't work. But it's circular. All right. So you keep going and you keep finding better ways to get to your solution in any robotics challenge. All right. Whether it's a competition, whether it's a problem you have in class, whether it'll be a real world problem, whether it is out there on the space station, really doesn't matter. You need to have a process. You need to have a design process. All right. Okay. So you've got to describe it. If a team comes to me and says, we followed the engineering design process. Okay. But where's your evidence? All right. So show us, where did you research it? Show us some of the articles you read. Show us some of the diagrams you drew to brainstorm. List all your imagination ideas. Draw, sketch, show us pictures of where you were starting to create things. And then show us how you improved. All right. How did you test? How did you evaluate? There needs to be some description. You need to have evidence. All right. And it's really good at the end for a team to reflect on the process that they have followed, going from, ta-da, we're going to do this competition, to We've done this competition, and now we can reflect on what we've learned. Okay. For technical or for building, photos or Lego Digital Designer designs. Okay. Tell me about the shape of the chassis. Is it square? Is it rectangular? Is it heavy? Is it light? Okay. So number 1's the shape. Number 2 is the navigation. Well, it's got wheels, it's got axles, it's got motors. Tell me about how it navigates. All right. Tell me about the sensors and tell me why you attach the sensors. Do not tell me you attach the sensor because you felt like it. Okay. Tell me about the passive attachments. You can probably use 2 attachments for most of these missions. We are going to do some test runs next weekend, and I'll let you know what we think. Ideally, 1 attachment can do everything, but for this, it can't. All right, there's definitely a modification required. So you're going to use mostly passive attachments, mostly powered attachments. All right. Okay, so when you do your sketches, you need to clearly say what are the features of the robot, what are the attachments, where are the motors, what are the sensors. There needs to be some strategy you follow to build the chassis, and there needs to be some strategy you follow to build the attachments. Okay. Normally, the chassis, the strategy would be we built a Riley Rover, or we built a winning design, or we built a driving base. Attachments, we started with a small attachment, and after 3 runs, we decided we're going to change it. That is a strategy. Okay, that is a different kind of strategy, how you build the things together. Okay, so that's what's got to be included. Those are the details that must be included. When you do programming, when you describe your programming, it is not okay to say, well, I did all the programming and because I'm very, very clever. Okay, that doesn't help anybody anything. There needs to be an overall program description. So tell me, you have 4 individual programs. They're on a push button, so you can trigger them on the buttons on the screen, or they run one after the other, and they run in this order. Tell me what input you have. Do you do any sensor input? What kind of flow control do you have? Do you have decisions to make? Do you have any loops in your code? Okay. Tell me, did you write a program for each mission? Did you initially write a program for each mission and then you combine them to make a larger program? Tell me about your programming backups. Where did you write it down? Did you just write it down? Did everybody have another copy of it? Did everybody on every different day have a backup? And what was your plan? So our overall plan was that we would then divide it up into 3 groups of 3, and so they programmed this, they programmed this, and they programmed this, and then we tested it and we scored it until 2 weeks before the session, and then we refined it or whatever. Okay. I know this is not the diagrams for this week's challenge. I need to actually put a new picture in here, but this is what I mean about a strategy and design it in color. Okay, so draw the color things. We start here, we draw here. Okay, green is going there and red is going back. And if you want to draw another picture, print lots of these pages and just color them in, and then you can kind of see where you're going. All right. If you've got younger teams that are maybe a little hesitant because they're going to forget in which order, have some learners stand next to the table and do all those shout outs. Okay, next we have so-and-so and they're going to do mission 1. And next we have so-and-so and they're going to do mission 2. It's going to go forward, straight, and left. It's fine. There's no limit on the amount of noise. Okay. Now for testing and debugging, we actually spoke about this yesterday. You do need to evaluate the structure and the programming. All right. So if you say your program structure is rigid and robust, why do you say that? All right, because you can pick it up with one hand. You can charge. You can still recharge the battery pack. You can do this, you can do that. And so there needs to be a list of the evaluation over the weeks. All right. And very similarly, you do over the programming. So in week 1, we did all individual programs, and then in week 3, we kind of joined them. And then week 7, we kind of refined and narrowed it down. And we had weekly test scores. And here's our test scores. So you've got 20 pages of test scores, and you can see where it was that you needed to change. and maybe write a checklist of testing. So for this week, we just wanted it to work. For next week, we wanted to go a little bit faster. That's what you can also do. All right. The score sheet is available. You can download it. And it is a really good idea to score the robot after every session. In between as well if you want to. But just fill it in. Say how many missions did you complete? What was the score? What was the total time? And learners need to get into the habit of not touching the robot if it's not in base. I have seen many teams score amazing scores, and they keep picking up the robot, and they get penalties for it. And so penalties get reduced. All right. Another thing which I really want you to kind of put high on the priority list is have a goal. Okay, so your team wants to get to 100, or your team wants to get to 99 points, or maybe you can move the goals a little later. But for now, it's good for the teams whilst they're working. Don't say I'm going to score 600 points, because you can't. All right, and then the teams become despondent. So there's the score sheet. You can print a gazillion of these, and then you get put all the points on. And then you see how you're doing every week. All right, and maybe we should have put time there, time, because you only have 120 seconds, so maybe you can score within 120 seconds or whatever. We're thinking of giving a report template, but we're not really sure yet. So we've got a couple of ideas whether we should incorporate it or whether we leave it up for a little bit of inspiration. So that's still outstanding, but we'll talk about it. Okay. And then, of course, often things go wrong. No, there we go. So watch this here. So this is when you practice, and the cat insists on lying on. This was last year. We could not get the cat away. I'm trying very hard, but he doesn't go. He used to lie on top of the robot. Yeah, and in the way, always on top of the robot, always in the way of this poor robot practicing. So lots can go wrong, even if you're invaded by your cat. But it is all worth it, okay? Because what we have learned is that there's definitely problem-solving skills. This is not trial and error. It's just testing, all right? But there needs to be a strategy. It's not an ad hoc process. There needs to be a strategy. You need to identify the risks and decide which ones you're going to mitigate. And for goodness sake, share tasks. Please don't let only one person do everything. That's not fair. We tackle the challenges, we adapt the constraints, and we persevere with optimism and precision in practice, and we keep going. And maybe you don't see the fruits of the labor for this season, but maybe it comes out next season. Maybe you will never see this, but maybe 20 years down the line, somebody will walk up to you and say, "Hi, remember me? I was in your robotics team." And so that makes it all worthwhile. We have no idea. We have no idea the impact that we have on but one learner's life. All right. So you're going to enter a team, and that is the end of Unit 4 already. So please try and do the MOOC 3 Unit 4. Please register a team. If you haven't got a team, ask, beg, borrow, and steal team members. But really find a team, and let's have some real good fun. And I'm sure you can eat all the elements when you're finished. If you have any problems, please call Anzani or Tumelo. Tumelo will guide you through the MOOC portal environment. Anzani will answer any other question, and that's my email address if you're really stuck and you need to speak to somebody. All right. So that is the end of the presentation, and I hope I've inspired, let's say, at least 2 teams. I know KK will have a team, but KK, maybe you should see whether you can get some family members and make your own team. No stress, no pressure. All right. Any questions? Any ideas popping up? Any ideas of what you want to do? What missions you really don't want to do? Anybody? Oh gosh, we're all very quiet today. Maybe I should get Ralph and a management team to participate in the robotics competition. I'm just saying, just an idea.
It sounds like fun. We just need a toy box like you've got.
No, I'll make sure that your management team gets a robot. Yeah.
Okay, it's tempting.
I know, isn't it? Can you imagine if all the UNISA departments are going to have robotics teams? I think it's amazing. Finance against HR and HR against the library. Oh, be cool. There's a really good idea. KK, you want to add?
Yes, I just wanted to say thanks for the presentation. It was really insightful. And going back to that chocolate mission, you can cut me out of that one because honestly, I don't see myself doing it.
We can try for
Too much admin.
We just need to lift the slab and then it melts.
Exactly.
Yes, that's
Because
exactly.
I might end up eating all the chocolate pieces, and then we might have nothing to work with.
But you know, you just need to choose which slabs you use, because some slabs are very they've got a very a non-textured covering. That means they'll slip off each other very quickly. So maybe you need to choose which slabs you want on your stack very carefully.
Maybe one with nuts or something.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
More friction.
Because it has more friction, then you can be able to create that forklift that will lift it. But I'm worried about time if you choose that one. But we'll see on the points, and then we'll strategize which missions we do it. Okay. It looks interesting. It looks fun.
Well, we'll start sending videos if we get it right, and let's see what we can get right. Okay. Cool. Excellent. All right. So that is the launch of Virtual Gear 2022. Exciting times. We have got some ideas of maybe running an all girls challenge for one day, or entries submitted on that day by all girls teams, and then we'll have or maybe we should have we're thinking of little separate competitions just for the fun of it. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for being with us. It's been great chatting to you. It's been it's always good to have some interaction. It's and you'll just never know what comes up. But I'm really very curious to see what these videos are going to be like. And so as soon as we get videos in, we'll put them up on the sample videos, and you can have a look. I'll announce it on the announcements when we add videos as well, and you can get an idea of what's going on. But you know what? It's be as creative as possible. And so if you think of a different way of doing it, maybe you should no, maybe we shouldn't. I shouldn't start telling you. Okay, let's see what we can do. Maybe you can catapult it all over the board. Potluck, yeah. but really important that you encourage your learners to just think, how are we going to do this? And maybe they just need to eat all the elements, all the robotics competition. Okay. Any further questions, or shall we end the session? I'm just going to I'm going to stop the recording anyway. But really to thank you for joining me